I am excited to be with you today. I'm excited to be with salespeople. I've been in sales my whole career since I got out of college, and really found something that kind of fit my personality and who I was. But I love the challenge of sales. I love the energy of sales, and I love about sales that at the end of the day, you can figure out, did I accomplish something or not? When you think about sales, sales is not a science. It's really not an art, but in my mind, it's somewhere in between. In my mind, sales maybe it's an art that we can apply a science to. You know, how do you and I, in a sales scenario, how do we produce predictable results? Not perfectly, but how can we more often than not look at a process to predict results? I love how salespeople say things like this. Now, I don't need all the first part. I just help me close. Help me learn how to close, because I'm real good at all the other stuff. I just need to close. All right? And in reality, that ought to be the easiest part. Right? If I've done A, B, C, and D well in a professional way, right, where I've built that rapport, continued to grow it, and then I've acted like a professional throughout, and I've become a consultant, I've become a problem solver, then that close ought to be as simple as flipping off a light switch when we leave a room, right? It shouldn't be a big standoff. So now, Philip, you got all the information, I gave you the brochure and everything, do you want it or not? Right? The close ought to be a natural progression. We try so hard sometimes to be so logical. Logic matters, right? We've got to satisfy both sides. But more times than not, sales are made on emotion. I could have found a cheaper jacket than this, I promise. But a couple years ago, I was in a store, I put this jacket on, and I thought, for a fat, bald man, you look pretty good in this, right? And I bought it emotionally. So just as much as we need logic, not forgetting that more often than not, there's an overriding emotional component of a sale. People typically buy from people they like, trust, or respect. Which one first? Which one comes first? Like, right? At first, there's got to be something, not exclusively, but more often than not, there's got to be something about us that they like, right? Something about us has to make them say, I don't know that I want what you've got to sell, but if I were gonna buy what you've got to sell, Deb, you're the kind of person I'd want to buy it from, right? We get to come in and be the hero, but we're only presenting something that they've already told us that they need. We're presenting a solution they've already told us they need. We're not pitching, right? What would you think if you started having a headache and it got worse and worse and worse and worse? You've had this debilitating headache for 3 weeks and you're scared, you're afraid of what it could be. You go in to see the doctor and you're waiting for that doctor to come in, and the doctor walks in and she says, how are you doing today? Great news, today we got half off on tonsillectomies. We got a 2-for-1 on, and you're thinking, what are you talking about? Have you lost your mind? You haven't asked me what's wrong. So when we present the solution, not only we're presenting a solution to something they've told us they need, we're also presenting a solution that's compelling. But I was taught early on that the first thing, Sales 101, before I'm gonna even think about, do I need or want what you have? Before I'm gonna go through the mental process, I'm asking myself subconsciously, do you believe what you're saying? Do you believe what you're saying? Because if you don't believe it, I don't have time. I'm not going to go through the exercise. So before I'm even listening to anything about your product or your service, I'm listening to you. Do you believe what you're saying? But the one I want to leave you with, it's one more Jerryism. Number 9. Number 9, he said, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. And Jerry had developed very intentionally this skill. When he would introduce people, it wasn't just, oh, hey, Philip, hey, this is Darrison, right, Darrison? I think I got called Darrison by Jim one time. Yeah, okay, Darrison and Philip, right? So he wouldn't say, Darrison, this is Philip, Darrison. He'd say, Philip, you gotta meet Darrison. He's voted Time Life's most handsome man of the year, and he invented the internet with Al Gore. And he's, and then Terrence, let me tell you about Philip. He's a lion tamer, and he's won 4 Pulitzer Prizes, and he'd introduce you to this person. You're like, wow, this is the most fascinating man in the world. You're just like, oh my goodness, this guy's incredible. Dale Carnegie, before he died, he was giving a presentation. Somebody said, what advice will you give me on how to be a great speaker, how to be a great presenter? And Dale Carnegie said, don't worry about being a great presenter. Don't worry about being a great speaker. He said, be a great person who happens to be skilled in speaking. I believe if he were asked, I feel pretty confident he'd say the same thing to you and me about sales. I think he'd say, don't be a great salesperson. Be a great person who happens to be skilled in selling.